BRB UK. Worse teeth, better accents.
Hello, and indeed a podcast. I think that's the intro. Dan is not here. I am Coleman. Hi, welcoming you to this here episode of BRB UK. It's a podcast from BigRedBarel.com where we like to talk about video games, knob jokes, and other things. Mostly the knob jokes come from Dan. So there'll be a lack of them this week, as I mentioned, he is not here. Tim is here. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about some stuff and some things.
And some video games, most likely. We might even get there reasonably quickly this week.
It's a very chilled out intro to the podcast this week, because I literally finished work minutes ago. So I'm not quite in the right head yet, but we'll get there.
Well, I was quite tired this week, so we'll see how we do on the show, but hey. If it looks like or sounds like we're falling asleep, then that might be true.
Sleepy Time podcast. Tim, you've got a game you want to talk about, and that game being Unavowed, which we called Avowed on the podcast last week because you sent me a message saying I'm going to talk about Avowed next week.
Yeah, I went from memory, and my memory wasn't good on that occasion.
No,
but Unavowed, and funny saying about forgetting things. This is a game very much about forgetting things, and that's how this game starts. And yeah, just to give a bit more background before that as well, I've been playing on the Switch. I was given a review code to review the game, and I believe the game came out a couple of years ago on Steam, so it's been out for a while. But not being a PC gamer myself, first chance to get hands on it was with the Switch, and it's a point-and-click adventure, and a very classic-looking point-and-click adventure game, especially with the kind of 2D pixel styling art. That it's pixel art type styling.
I'm assuming this makes use of touchscreen as it's on the Switch and a point and click, and those seem to translate very well to a touchscreen device. Yeah,
and there are other control options, but both are active at any time. So you can just use the touchscreen, or you can use a combination of joystick and buttons to navigate around the screen. And it's usually a kind of mouse pointer that you can maneuver around the screen as well, basically.
Right.
But yeah, as you say, a good fit for the Switch. Usually, in the grand scheme of things, you are very much the point-and-click adventure fan, and I am not so much, generally. But
different childhoods.
I have to say, this is definitely up there and possibly the best point-and-click adventure I've played. It's, I've only played through it once, and I'm definitely going to go back and play through the ending a couple more times and maybe play through the whole game again. Probably takes about 8 to 10 hours to play through.
Really?
As I said, it's kind of a classic point-and-click adventure. You're, navigating your way around an area and kind of finding the objects in that area that you can interact with. But there's a lot of things that kind of get round some of the frustration issues with this kind of game as well. Like, once you walk onto a screen, you can just press the Y button. And I'm not sure what the touchscreen equivalent of that is, but you can just press the Y button. And it brings up all the objects on that screen that you can interact with. Whether it be an exit or an actual object in the environment that does something, or you can touch or pick up. And it does the kind of classic thing where you've got an inventory of stuff that you've picked up, and you can navigate through those things, and sometimes it's a matter of combining those things with other things on screen or other things in your inventory to kind of give an answer. Throughout the game, there are various puzzles that you can solve either with objects or with the use of some of your teammates' powers. You're a team of kind of paranormal investigators that you end up teaming up with to kind of solve cases. There's a series of paranormal events that kind of, have kicked off, and you're kind of, gumshoe Ghostbusters, for want of a better description, and kind of, going around solving cases in a kind of supernatural occult setting type thing. Yeah, and there's a lot of things that you're involved with that you've completely forgot about as the main character in the game. And I won't give too much away about like how it ends and where that ends up, but it's like a really interesting story, and they do a lot of interesting things with that throughout the game, and like sort of you think you've got a handle on things, and things twist and turn a bit as well. And there's a good kind of payoff through the narrative portion of the game in the way that you deal with those cases, and the way that you, especially the way you interact with some of the supernatural beings that you come across. And yeah, that has a direct payoff in the ending with how you can navigate your way through the ending and the options that it gives you at the actual end of the game. But then there are independent choices that you make that kind of go on top of that as well. But yeah, like it's really kind of interesting setting, interesting like narrative driven story. There's not really combat to talk of. There are sort of combat based puzzles, and two of your possible partners that you can go out with to solve the case. Basically, you get like two of them from a possible a team of four that you end up with, 4.5 arguably, because one comes with their own ghost as well. Your bestower comes with their own ghost, basically. So, and your bestower can speak to the dead and stuff, basically, and help you speak to ghosts that way. So yeah, that can be quite handy.
Standard stuff.
But the partners that you pick to go out with you, as well as having like different powers, will also have like different abilities to get round obstacles or puzzles in the environment, or just get you access to different areas. For instance, there's a lady that comes with a sword, and she can stab things with the sword, but she can also use the sword to leave doors open and stuff like that. And yeah, like it's done like really well. As I said, there's the little system where you can see whatever comes up on screen in terms of just pressing the Y button and getting all the points of contact and stuff. But also, if you're ever not sure of what to do at any point in time, you can just ask either of your two partners if they've got any idea of what they should do next. And generally, they give you a sometimes slightly vague, but usually one of them gives you an almost out-and-out hint of, maybe you should go and try this kind of thing. And it kind of, almost spells out where you should be going now, basically. So, yeah, there's none of that kind of, well, there is a little bit of going back and forth and like, you know, what the hell does this avocado do? And kind of, you know, that sort of stuff. But
rob object A on rob object B to make C.
And there is a little bit of that. But yeah, most of the puzzles, or the vast majority of the puzzles, are all, you know, kind of led from the environment and generally make sense. I'm trying not to give too much away there. There's a couple, I think there's one that I was like, okay, screw this, I'm going to just look this up, basically. Which I try to avoid doing in these type of games because otherwise it kind of spoils it. And there's one that I'm like, okay, I've been stuck on this for a bit. I have a limited amount of time to play right now, and I don't want to get stuck here for the whole time I'm playing, kind of thing. So I think there's two things I looked up throughout the game. But generally the game's pretty good, as I said, at like hinting where you should go and actually having those systems within the game to keep you playing the game and keep you going. It does seem like there's other things you can explore in the environment. As I said, there's various different endings that you can get. And I think, although a lot of that's dependent on stuff that you've done throughout the game, some of that depends on stuff that you do very near the end as well. So, like, there are there's reasons to replay the whole thing, possibly, and there's reasons to replay through the ending a few times just to see different variants and stuff like that as well. But yeah, like, really unexpected for me because I thought this looked intriguing, and like I liked the kind of setting and the kind of the world that it seemed to be hinting at, and that's like really well done. There's really good character development. There's really good sort of voice acting in the dialogue and stuff as well. That's like of a really high quality, and so yeah, the kind of 2D pixel art setting seems like in good reverence to the kind of a lot of the source material. I kind of read somewhere that they were influenced by like BioWare stuff, but it reminded me much more of like, and it may be just the era of BioWare stuff that I played, but it reminded me much more of like Broken Sword, or that's the more recent game that I've played that's kind of a similar sort of style, basically.
Makes sense, being a point and click, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, really enjoyable. Like, I know you like these games, and so I highly recommend it to you. The only thing I'd say is that there's a lot of the puzzles that seemed almost like they sold themselves. And then, as I said, there was a couple of things that I felt were just overly obtuse that were ones that I looked up to avoid frustration. But generally, like, I enjoyed playing through them and was like happily to be led more by the narrative than some of the gameplay. But that was of such a high standard, and that the slight imperfections of some of the gameplay weren't enough to, stop me from highly recommending the game, basically. So, yeah.
Okay, well, that is on the Switch for £13.49, or on the PC on Steam for $10.99. So I may pick up the Steam copy just for the satisfaction. I mean, just not to be an elitist, Tim, but I like to play my point and clicks with the ability to point and click.
Yeah, but I can point and click with my finger.
That's not the same, and you know it.
No, but
buttons on the glass.
The actual use of that was actually quite good. Like, so yeah,
that's cool. Well, yeah, I mean, there is a whole wealth of points of clicks games out there for you to get your hands on if you've enjoyed this one. And I definitely recommend you got the LucasArts games for the more kind of family friendly, funny type point and click adventure games. And then you got the Sierra ones for the more you can actually die in this game, and there are that really weird things where like you could start a game and go, I forgot this one object, and get like 20 hours in and go, I should have picked up that object because now I can't complete the game and need to start all over again. So it's the very two different types of camp of point and click adventure game out there.
And this is definitely more on the sort of family friendly in terms of, you can't leave until you've solved everything in this area type thing, and everything's contained here. So just go back. That's good.
They're the ones I prefer, I think. So
yeah.
All right then. Well, you reliving my childhood for me using point and click adventure games, and me reliving my childhood by going back to Final Fantasy VII yet again, because Final Fantasy Remake is a thing that Final Fantasy VII Remake is a thing we spoke about on 387 BRB UK back in 2020, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit again because being one of those people that has access to a PlayStation 5 but they still don't exist because they're fan fiction consoles, it does entitle me to a free upgrade of Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I did, and I'm playing it on the PS5, and I've got a kind of testament to. I said when last week I was talking about God of War on the PS5, and it is the way to play God of War because you can switch that back into PS4 mode and go, oh my God, that's terrible, and then you put it on PS5 and go, that's so much nicer.
Yeah, I still haven't played. I know I've looked at a bit of that because my flatmate started playing it, and then anyway.
Right, but the kind of difference there is with God of War, it's okay, you can either have the super pretty HDR and then the lower frame rate, or you can have the higher frame rate and not have as many shiny shines in there. Playing it on the PS4 5, it allows you to do both and boost the frame rate also. I can't remember what the frame rate was on the PS4 version of Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it has those two same options. Either you can have the fidelity mode or the performance mode. On the PS5, it does the both mixed together. And I've got to admit, looking at the PS5 version, I'm not seeing the big difference that everyone else is seeing on like how beautiful it looks compared to the I think the PS4 version is an amazing looking game and it looks just as nice on the PS5. The frame rate is the difference, and it's so much nicer playing. And it's not to say it had a bad frame rate on PS4, but you can do the thing of go back and play the PS4 mode on the PS5 and go, yeah, it does actually work a lot better to stick it in performance mode.
Because Ratchet and Clank had a performance RT mode where it's performance but with ray tracing.
Yeah, which they won't do on this because it's a PlayStation 4 game, basically.
Yeah.
Even though I don't know if there's any ray tracing or anything involved, because this is technically a PS5 game, support to the PS5 rather than a backwards compatible version that's been patched to the console. So I'd have to look into that a bit more. But I mean, mainly because I was very close to finishing. I thought I'd finish. I thought I was very close to finishing, but I was actually a couple of chapters away because they're very. And it's weird because this is a game for people that have beaten Final Fantasy VII back in the day, because it then changes up the story and adds to the story and stuff. So you might be getting close to the end of a section, but actually there's a whole bunch of other stuff that they've added in for you to get through. And now I think I'm literally on the last chapter of the game and about to finish it. So I looked at the chapter lists because I got to the point yesterday when I thought I'd be finished by now, and it's midnight, and I didn't expect this. So I took a quick look at the chapter listings and went, all right, I'm literally on the last chapter now. And I'm very excited because I got sent a copy of Intergrade as well. So I'm getting ready for that version once this one's down. And I'm really excited about that because it's basically Final Fantasy VII, but it's new Final Fantasy VII. So it's the side story of Yuffie, the Materia ninja hunter. And yeah, so I'm going to report back on that next week because I should have the game done by the end of this week and then ready for next week and then play Intergrade ready. But playing on the PS5 version, lovely.
Yeah, is it worth me diving back in? Because I played it, I liked it. And then kind of, I was playing it with my flatmate, and then he took over for a bit and got past a bit, and I'm not sure where I am now, and I don't know where to go back in, and yeah, I don't know.
Up to you. I wouldn't say start it again if you're lost, because it's Final Fantasy VII. You know the story of Final Fantasy VII. You know where to pick up from. But it's definitely worth going through, and especially. Like there's areas I've mentioned before in that game. It kind of expands on stuff. How many hours
are we talking, Coleman? How many hours?
I'm 48 hours, I think. But I've done a lot of side stuff. So, like, if it gives me the option, I will do all the side stuff because I really like this game. But it's got, like I've mentioned before, how it expands on things that the original game didn't, that I really like the idea of. Like, they constantly talk about throughout the whole of Final Fantasy VII, they're like, oh, Cloud, you were in Soldier, right? And Soldier's always capitalized. So you're like, so it's a group of someone, and first grade, Soldier, and then you never meet anyone in Soldier. So you're like, what is this mythical soldier that I hear so much about? And it's explained in side games, but you want it in this one. Yeah. And then in the remake, you do actually fight other people from Soldier. So you're like, oh, okay, so I get the idea now. They can do magic. They've got cool motorbike skills. They're basically another version of Cloud that can do funkier things or have skills in other areas. So it expands on stuff like that. But then I found, because like the one part that I really don't like in the original Final Fantasy VII is the Shinra building. I don't like going to the Shinra building, and you have to go all these different levels to get to the right floor that you need to get to. And there's a lot of walking around and talking to people and trying to get a key card to go to the next level and all that kind of stuff. Streamlines all of that and actually makes it interesting in Remake. So I was really happy for that. But yeah, it is very cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing like where. Not even because, damn it. There's like an element of timeline muckery in this game. So where I've been looking forward to getting a Final Fantasy remake, and now I finally have it, I don't know if the next game is going to be how I think it's going to be, or if it's going to splinter off into a completely different direction. So, and I'm trying so hard not to spoil the actual game.
Yeah, but isn't that more exciting that you don't know what's coming a little bit?
It is, but like at the same time, I mean, even if they do go, okay, it's a completely new adventure now, we're going somewhere completely different to this game, you know they're going to touch on things from the original game, so there will be like a gold saucer and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they're bloody better, Coleman.
There are elements like the backstory of Red 13, like that kind of stuff. There are moments in the game that I really, really like that I'd like to see done in the remake, but I don't know if they'll do that for the sake of, if they go to the level of expanding Final Fantasy VII into remake like they have done with this first iteration, then does that, you know, they'll be making this game for 100 years before they finished, you know? So I don't see them doing that.
Are we certain that they're bringing another game out after this one?
I'm pretty sure that they're working on it, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, it's weird because Square Enix for years they've had all these problems in the past, and then people going, just remake Final Fantasy VII. Like, that's the first thing you should do. Get it out there, get some money in your bank, and start working on other projects. And instead they went, okay, we're going to do this remake thing, and they had trouble with the development and all this kind of stuff, and they finally brought it out. And then they've gone, oh, that was really successful. Okay, so we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it for mobile. But we're going to do another project that ties in all the Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus and all the other side games and all that kind of stuff. Plus a Final Fantasy VII Battle Royale and a sequel. And like they're just throwing everything at Final Fantasy VII now. It's a bit weird, which kind of makes sense because I know Marvel didn't sell as well as they hoped. I still like that game though. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake is still a really good game.
That may have a saviour on the way, Coleman, maybe.
Hopefully, maybe. But yeah, it's still a really good game. I'm really looking forward to playing Intergrade. Hopefully I get to start that next week and talk about it on the next show. Not as long an episode. I think you can float through that one in like more like 8-10 hours rather than 50 if you want to get through everything. So yeah, here goes. Right, outside of the games we done played, we have we've got upcoming games in the news this week because we were talking about, well, me and Dan were talking last week about the PlayStation State of Play that was coming that night, along with EA Play, which didn't because I got that wrong. For some reason, that was in my head that was coming out on the same night as it's not. It's on the 22nd. Ignore it. I was very tired. I'm overworked. It's okay.
That's not for another week, Coleman.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. And again, on the day we're recording, so
yeah, thanks.
We won't, we'll get that the following week. But PlayStation State of Play, I saw a lot of negativity about State of Play, and I didn't watch it until like a couple of days after because I do the podcast and work and stuff. So I didn't watch it until like the weekend, and I did not quite get the negativity. I know there's some stuff that was announced and some stuff that we already know about and just expanded on, and I think people got their hopes up thinking this was going to be like an E3 level presentation because it is so soon after E3 and PlayStation weren't there, but they're doing their own thing. For a State of Play, I was like, yeah, I really enjoyed that. There's a lot of stuff that I'm looking forward to on this. There's some stuff that I was looking forward to until first impressions put me off a bit, but there is some stuff I'm really looking forward to in this, so I didn't quite get what the negativity was all about.
I can see why some other people might have been disappointed. For me, Moss Book 2 was a great way to start. It's kind of heavily teased at the end of Moss Book 1 that there would be a Moss Book 2, but yeah, like it's nice that that's on the way. It's nice that they're still thinking about PlayStation VR. I thought they announced before this that they weren't going to have any substantial news on PlayStation VR. Like maybe they meant PSVR 2 though.
Yes, the new PlayStation VR.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, anyway, that was a nice surprise, and for them to open with it, like, yeah, Moss is one of my favourite PSVR games, so yeah, like I'm quite happy that there's another one on the way soon. There's some really good VR games out at the moment. I really want to play Fract and yeah, like a few other things. And my headset's all packed up, and like it's summer. It's the worst time to release games in this country, like VR games, and they always release a load of VR games in the summer for some reason.
Yep.
But yeah, like other than that, like there weren't many massive highlights, I don't think. And one of the things that I was personally most looking forward to from the whole thing, and I think a lot of other people were, is Sifu, and that looked cool again, but the major news there was that was delayed till next year. So,
but I like the way they did. There was a classy delay they did, though. I like the way they did it, because if you don't know, Sifu, by the same guys who did Absolver, the fighting open world thing that we played through with Tiamat actually when that came out.
Talked about before, yeah.
Yeah, really good game. If a bit short and a bit kind of one-sided. But this one, same sort of thing. It's a martial arts type game, but each time you get defeated, you age in the game. So I don't know if that's your character then going off and retraining and going out there again a bit harder and ready for the... But yeah, it's got a bit of like a Souls-like vibe to it, but with martial arts, and I'm all for that. So on that kind of alignment of seeing the character age, then they went, oh, Sifu 2021, and then switched this to 2022 in the same way that they did the aging thing, and I like that.
Yeah.
Tie it into your gimmick. It's cute. I'm really looking forward to this game.
It looks even more impressive the more I see about it. And like, I don't know, the developers have been putting up little clips of sort of different fight bits and different environments and stuff, and it looks really, really impressive, and I was really excited for it. So yeah, a shame it's been delayed. Coming to PS4, PS5 and PC, but yeah, not till early next year now. But hey, I will wait for that game quite happily. But yeah, it's just a shame it has been delayed. But
it's
again,
making me think, while I'm waiting, I might reinstall Absolver, because like we burned through that game on the first couple of days of release.
Yeah,
and apparently there's been very extensive updates to that game and expansions for free and all this kind of stuff. So I should probably look back into that. I unlocked Drunken Fist style, whatever it's called. So I like that. I want to use all that.
Where did we
More
play
of that,
that
please?
Did we play that PS4?
Yeah, that was PS4 with Diarmid. We were sexy fight boys. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also a title that I like the look of. This has been revealed before, but I this completely went by me before. It's Fist, Forged in a Shadow Torch.
Yeah,
that's going to be out.
Stylish.
Yeah, that's going to be out September 7th. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and PC. Basically, world of anthropomorphic animals. You're a rabbit and a mech. And it's a kind of 2.5D side-scrolling brawler, platformer, shooter. Things that scream
kind of steampunky look to it as well, kind of thing, no? But yeah.
Yeah. But rabbit and a mech, I'm all for that.
Yep. Mech rabbit, okay.
Yeah, this goes into a very special category of games with Jumping Jack Flash. Good. Possibly Biomutant. Were there any others that you liked the look of in the State of Play, Tim?
There's a couple that I'm like, okay, I will look out for it. Like, I can't make my mind up about Arcadegeddon. Like, I'm not sure if that does look interesting. I think it's just on early access at the moment. So yeah, I'm not sure I'll bother with it just yet, but we'll see. It was Hunter Arena's Legend.
I was excited for Arcadegeddon until I listened to the impressions on Giant Bomb and went, I think I can give that a miss at the moment. Okay. See how it is on the release.
Yeah, I'll wait and see on that one. Hunter's Arena Legends, was that the one that looked like it was from a Chinese developer, I believe?
I think so. This
Korean.
is out. I believe this is out on PC already, and now it's coming to PlayStation 4 and 5 August 15th.
That was one I was like, okay, I'll keep an eye on it, but I don't care that much. And then Jet the Far Shore looked semi-interesting.
Yeah.
Don't know.
That's the Sword and Sorcery LP guys. I forget their name, but it's kind of
sure exactly.
Simplified spaceship exploring, kind of in the same vein as No Man's Sky, but more like a arcadey, slight puzzler type thing. And I like the look of that style. It looks very calming.
Yeah, and it looked like a quite tranquil, kind of peaceful game. But then, yeah, I'm not. It's one of those ones where I'd gladly give it a go if it comes to, PlayStation Plus, or if it's on Game Pass eventually, sort of thing.
This one would be more of a.
Not sure how much I'll pay for it if it comes.
I don't think it will come to Game Pass, because I think this one's one of those PlayStation exclusives. This was on the PlayStation 5 announcement.
Yes,
initially, yeah. But yeah, I think for what it is, for what it looks like anyway, if it comes out at £55 or something, then I'm not going to be that if it comes out at 25 quid or something more reasonable, then I'm more likely to pick something like this up. But like their previous titles, I could see this coming to PlayStation Plus down the line, so might want to hold off. But yeah, it looks nice. It might not be a day one. I'll see what the reviews say and then make a decision from that point on.
And Lost Judgment looks fun, but just reminded me that I haven't played Judgment. And Death Stranding Director's Cut reminded me that I probably don't want to play Death Stranding or Death Stranding Director's Cut. So, yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I do like Death Stranding, and I do want to play the Director's Cut. What I'm excited about.
Going to pay for the upgrade?
Yeah, I'm going to pay for the upgrade.
Yeah. Get a little robot friend.
Well, because I have a disc version of this game that I lent out, and then there was a sale for stupidly cheap for the digital version. So I went, well, I really want to play it again. And then I picked up the digital version because I lent it out just before lockdown. And
So you bought it twice?
So I have 2 copies. One still with my boss. And so having the digital copy and paying an extra £10 for an upgrade to PS5, I'll probably go for that. It's $44.99 if you're after the regular version as well.
If you want to be a post-apocalyptic postman.
It adds enough stuff in there for me to, and it's meant to be stuff that if you finish the game, then it's not going to really be that much to you, but it's stuff that's meant to like unlock along the way of your journey. So it does add much to the game for you to play through. I like the sounds of this. There's new battles, new combat mechanics, because the combat mechanics are quite ropey in the original. There's a new firing range, a cargo catapult. There's new story missions. There's a racing mode, which everyone keeps calling like a Mario Kart mode. It's like, have you never played Mario Kart? It looks nothing like. It's
what kind of racing is it then, Coleman? Is it forklifts?
Well, no, they're
more
in
of the
cars.
chinois about it.
It's Norman Reedus in cars, but it looks more like I don't know. I'd say more Wipeout than Mario Kart, but
Wipeout. Yeah. Have you got wheels?
It does have wheels, I think.
Well,
we'll see.
Wipeout.
All right. But anyway, I like the look of all that. Plus, there's going to be special DualSense controller, haptic feedback, and all that kind of stuff thrown in, 3D audio if you have the special headset. And that's going to be available 24th of September. Norman Reedus and his magical fetus. It's also quickly worth noting that while this is just after this, well, it's not an announcement because this already got announced at Jeff Keighley's Summer of Gaming event. Hideo Kojima tweeted out just after the PlayStation State of Play stream to say that he doesn't agree with the term director's cut for a video game. He did go into more reason why.
You just put that name on it, though. You just did that.
Apparently he didn't. Someone else did. But I'm wondering if this is like a PlayStation decision, because you got the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut.
Studio.
I know. But you've got the Ghost of Tsushima director's cut. You've got this director's cut. There's rumors of a Last of Us 2 director's cut.
Yeah.
So this could be like the new PlayStation. This is how we bridge the gap between PS4 and PS5 and bring older games on. We just add a bit of new stuff on there and call it a director's cut and charge you extra for it.
Just chuck an extra bit of DLC in.
Well, I mean, because there was the whole thing of the factions mode, the multiplayer mode on The Last of Us 2. It never came to Last of Us 2. Apparently it was in development and then halted while the single player development was going on, and then decided that was going to then be siphoned off and used into a completely different game. Then there was leak of the footage of the factions mode online, which I'd seen. I was like, yeah, that's clearly like way into production. They're still using it from the assets and stuff. And then later on, there was another leak after the game came out, and all the assets and the dating and the dating for the debug in the corner showed it that this was all going on after release. So they could very well still just be working on factions, and that was a bit of a red herring with it. Yeah, it'll be its own game, and then instead that'll all get tied up into a PlayStation 5 director's cut. With maybe some extra content for
now with
multi-class. I could totally see them doing that, and that means I'll have to get it again because the world's biggest Last of Us factions multiplayer fan. So there we go. Deathloop. Any interest in Deathloop at all?
I'm still not sure. I like it from a visual standpoint, and I kind of like the environment and the world, like the world from the environment and the kind of moving around that and the powers and weapons and all that type of stuff. I'm not sure, like, despite them going to great lengths to explain how their gameplay works, still not entirely sure how their gameplay works. And I'm not sure I want to bet £70 on finding out at the moment.
See, this is one that was announced without any gameplay, and I went, I like that style. I will probably pick up this game. And then the more I saw about it, the more I was like, yeah, I can probably wait. I don't know if this will be my kind of thing. And then something happened like on the turnaround now. I'm now going, well, I do want to play this game. I like the look of this game. I don't know if it's because I got into Hitman somewhere in between that lot, and this gives me big Hitman vibes. But supernatural Hitman, I like that idea. But I really want to play this game, but I know full well, because this is going to be out on PlayStation 5 and PC September 14th this year. Then the following year in 2022, it's going to be out September 14th on Xbox Series X and S. And because it's
probably
a
on
Bethesda
Game Pass
published title, it will be a Game Pass day one launch. Most likely. So I really like this, but do I like it? I can't wait a year to play this on another platform for not £70 much.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's the case, because I waited for Tomb Raider on PS4 and I was happy with my wait because they threw more stuff in at that point.
Yeah.
It could very well be the same thing.
It could be a better game by the time it comes out in a year as well.
Yeah,
it
might be all
kind of
buggy as hell by the time
game
it gets
releases
released.
These days, possibly. Like,
you don't know what's going to happen.
It's a tough one. Like, as you say, I do like the look of a lot of this, but there's something that I'm not entirely sure that I will enjoy playing this game enough that I will get £70 worth of enjoyment out of it, especially, as you say, in the environment where wait a year and get it for not for free, because Dan will scream at me if I say for free, but yeah, get it
it's me
for
that does that.
The price of your subscription, or who knows what the price of that subscription will be in a year's time, but still.
Yeah, there's that.
I'm having a hard time justifying paying 70 quid for a video game at the moment, basically. Like, Ratchet and Clank is a game I really liked, and I can happily play through it again and level up the weapons a bit more because there's a lot more to do in that regard, and it's a fun game to play. I still kind of have a bit of buyer's remorse in the spending 70 quid just to get that at the moment, when I'm sure it's probably on sale for less even now, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I have definitely seen the disc version down to 60 in places. Even with £10 off. That has been like a sticking point for me, that new games are £70 RRP or $69.99 for consoles. And it has kind of, like, initially Ratchet and Clank for me before release would have been a day one purchase. I really like the look out of it. Like, out of all the, forgetting your Miles Morales, but any cross-generation games, like being a solid PlayStation 5 game that we knew would be a solid PlayStation 5 game.
Yeah. That shows off the tech well as well, that's why I bought into it as well. So
when they announced the PS5, we had all these PlayStation 5 exclusives that we didn't know were then going to be PS4 exclusives, and Ratchet and Clank was a PS5 exclusive bundled with a bunch of others. And out of all of them, that was the one that made me go, this is the one I want to play. I really like the look of this game. And to me, that was a day one purchase. The inability to find a PlayStation 5 at the time it released was probably a deciding factor in me not picking it up. But then also, once I picked up my PS5, and it's like, right, I think Ratchet and Clank had been out for a week, 2 weeks or something. It's like, right, now's the time to get Ratchet and Clank. But I have all these PlayStation 5 games that I haven't got to, so should I spend £70 on a brand new game? I really don't want to. It's a bit too close to £100 for me, and that's ludicrous. So I try to find any excuse I can not to buy day one PlayStation games at the moment just because of that price.
70 out of 100 seems a lot more than 60 out of 100 psychologically.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And again, it's as well, because I like to get my games digitally, especially because we have 2 PlayStations in the house. They're linked, so any purchases I make digitally, my girlfriend can play them, and we can play at the same time. Ratchet and Clank might be one of those ones that we want to play at the same time, plus hers is a digital, mine is a disc version, so we can't share disc and stuff.
Right.
So that, even though I can go, hey, if I looked on, say, Amazon or something and I see it for £20 less to get a disc version, that then means it's exclusively has to be played on this one console.
Right, yeah.
So, stuff like that's taken to account at this house. But yeah, Deathloop, the only way and for that very reason, like the only way I see me paying for this game day one is if so many people get this game and go, oh my God, it's so amazing, you have to play this game. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm getting some FOMO. I need to play this game. And the other one would be if my girlfriend then goes, I really want to play this Deathloop game. And I go, all right, I better pick up Deathloop so we can play Deathloop. And then I'll make the most out of it. But otherwise, I'm quite happy to wait a year and just play it for free on Xbox.
I think I'm in the same boat.
In the price, yeah. I mean, technically it is free for me because I got 12 months free.
12 years
of Game Pass free. No, I got 12 months put in with the phone for free, so that's fine. Yeah. Anywho, what else is there? That's right. So, Kind of Funny. We know about them. Greg Miller and all that lot. They have a podcast on there, Kind of Funny Games Cast. And
giving
recently
no
they
love to your note about Ghostwire Tokyo. No love for it at all.
Oh, sorry. I completely forgot about that. While we're talking about Bethesda stuff on the same vein as Deathloop, Ghostwire Tokyo has been delayed to early 2022. I think this is the third delay that game's had.
Yeah.
And there was an interesting thing I heard on, again, Giant Bomb this week, where one of their listeners wrote in and said, hey, Bethesda's owned by Microsoft now. What's for them to say that they're not going to just start like delaying games just to stretch out the exclusivity and all that kind of stuff? Deathloop was delayed a couple of times for the PS5 launch. And then with the announcement on State of Play, the next day they went, okay, so it's going to be on Xbox the year later, like literally the same release date next year. I'm assuming they at least have to have the 1 year gap between in their contract and all that kind of stuff. So I don't think there's anything malicious to these games being delayed. I just think Ghostwire Tokyo in particular has a pretty troubled development from the beginning.
Both games look like they might be tricky games to develop on new hardware. No, I don't think there's anything massively suspicious about that. And in an environment where a lot of games are being delayed just through, COVID shenanigans and everything else that goes along with that. And the difficulty of development at the moment. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything sinister.
Looking at the two separately, like Deathloop, it seems to have had a theme and stuck with it all the way through development. From what I can tell outside looking in, with Ghostwire Tokyo, like it was this serious horror game, then like bombastic, silly, anime-inspired, like playing cards and hand motions and all this kind of stuff. They had a presenter come out and reveal the game, and then she's been kind of chased off the internet by creeps and quit the company and all that kind of stuff. Like it's been all over the place.
Yeah, I said, difficult development for, but in different ways. I think Deathloop is looking to push the technology and looking to possibly, get the best out of the tech and using like powers and things within that and just testing out what they can do a little bit, or stretching, what they can do a little bit from their previous game. Because it's arcane, I think, with Deathloop, isn't it? So, from Dishonored and stuff like that as well. So I'd be interested to see what old Kev thinks of Deathloop as well, as he was a big fan of Dishonored and things. But yeah. Anyway, yep.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Out of the two, I am more. I think I'm more likely to, even though they would both be Game Pass releases later down the line, I am more likely to pick up Ghostwire Tokyo just because that game perplexes me and intrigues me, and I want to play that game just for the sheer what has happened with this, like this game that has been turned around 3 or 4 times now since we've known about it. I need to know about this game.
Go through.
It entices. Anyway, sorry. Kind of Funny Gamecast. They had Phil Spencer on, him being of the Xbox leadership and all that. And this has kind of set a lot of social media ablaze in that, I mean, I don't know if you have the same problem with Twitter that I have. It's at some point Twitter's seemingly gone, you like video games, I'm going to throw random video game tweets and accounts at you. And every time it's like an Xbox fan going, this is the reason Xbox is better than PlayStation. And then a PlayStation fan going, this is the reason PlayStation better than Xbox. And then always the first comment is Xbox better or PlayStation better. That kind of stuff. Lots of complaining about each side. I just don't care. I'm in my late 30s. I'm getting closer to 40 every day, and I just don't care about these arguments we had in infant school about Segas and Nintendos.
Yeah, the one that's kind of flared up, I see a lot of arguments through game media type people as well type thing. I think I follow a lot of game media people. You probably get a similar thing as well from that sort of stuff. But the argument I've seen this week is on game difficulty again, and I'm just like, we can't have the same arguments all the time.
Are we back to that again, are we?
We're back to game difficulty and playing
Add a
on
hard
easy
mode
and...
to Demon Souls. I still want to Demon Souls. I don't want to play it, I just want them to do it.
Just people seemingly... I don't know if it's the algorithms of the social media platforms deliberately sowing divisiveness because that drives more engagement, or whether people are playing to that and throw up toxic opinions because they know it will get them attention. Like, I think it plays out both ways a little bit, but yeah, anyway.
A lot of the ones I see where I'm talking about fan wars and stuff, a lot of them do seem to be dedicated, either Twitter accounts or Twitter accounts to, like we are, like a video games blog, but they seem very focused about either PlayStation or Xbox, and, throw a rock, you'll hit 20 million of those things. But anyway, kind of to that discourse of Xbox better, PlayStation better, I'm seeing a lot of either Xbox fans going, yeah, we're going to get our own DualSense, so there's no need to get a PlayStation, which is overpriced and blah, 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 blah. Or you've got PlayStation fans going, see, Xbox is so bad that they've got to steal the controller from PlayStation. Right. What this is boiled down to is Phil Spencer was on Kind of Funny Gamescast, and he spoke about the idea of possibly being impressed with the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller, and then separately saying that there's no major hardware innovations to come to the Xbox that they're looking at right now. No VR. But
he was being asked about VR on that sense, but they're looking at the PC space. But he did say that he can't see the point in having a console hooked up to anything because he thinks the best thing out there at the moment is the Quest 2, which, that's fair enough.
But the quote that's kind of set the internet on fire is, we're definitely thinking about different kinds of devices that can bring more games to more places, which, if I was to guess, I would say more like the stick to stick in your TV and get Game Pass, that kind of stuff.
Or just have apps on your TV. I think that's coming soon.
There's probably some work we'll do on the controller, which is possible. They could have a new. They tend to make new iterations of the console, the controller in console generations. They have iterated on the different hardware versions, but also the controllers since Xbox One have been patchable. They can do cool stuff to it that is there ingrained and not ready to go yet. They can patch that stuff in later. The other part he said was, I think Sony's done a nice job with their controller. We kind of look at some of that and think there are some things we should, are there some things we should do? So it's more likely there's haptic feedback to the controller, not to the degree that PlayStation do. Maybe add some of that in through either patching or a hardware iteration down the line. What that has then blown up into is, oh my God, Phil Spencer says that he needs to make his own DualSense for the Xbox because they're desperate, or because PlayStation had a good idea this one time, or whatever. And no, shut up. None of that.
Well, I think from what I inferred from what he was saying about the controller, that they will be, looking at what Sony's done and possibly making modifications down the line. I don't think there's going to be a new Xbox controller out tomorrow, but like I say, it might even be as simple as making software revisions to their existing control pad and stuff like that. The one thing that I would have liked to ask as a follow-up question to that is there any particular thing that you would like to see? Is the speaker something that he thinks is a good feature? Is it, how they've used the haptic feedback?
Stop doing stuff with the speaker. It's so annoying.
Well, that's the thing. But is that something that he thinks is a good or a bad thing? Like, what part of it are the parts that he thinks they got, right, basically, and that he would like to emulate possibly in the future?
See, the funny thing is about the PlayStation, the DualSense speaker, and it's the same problem. Oh, well, the funny thing about the DualSense is it has once again been another iteration where I've gone from the PS3 and gone, yeah, this controller's fine. Gone to the PS4 and go, PS3 controller feels like a bag of crap now. And exactly the same PS5 controller. Oh, this feels really nice in my hand. Go back to the PS4. God damn it. Now it feels hollow and light and it doesn't, there's no weight to it, but that was my favorite controller beforehand. So again, it's like a weightier controller. It feels better. But yeah, the stuff with the speaker, it's always annoyed me because if you put headphones into the controller, fine, absolutely fine. It stops playing out the speaker, plays through your headphones. The privacy is there. The problem I have is if you plug headphones into a PlayStation controller, it mutes the capture for when I do capture on video games. Yeah. So my way around that is I hook the PlayStation audio into my mixer and plug my headphones into my mixer. Also, it allows me to mess around with EQ levels and stuff that I can't do on the console. And it's very nice. And rather than pull up a menu to turn the volume up and down, I've just got a slide next to me and all that kind of stuff. The problem with that is the problem then is I'll be playing with my headphones on and I'll just be playing away and my girlfriend will be watching TV, and then if I'm playing like Death Stranding, for instance, she'll just start hearing the baby crying and she's like, where the hell is that baby crying come from? My controller, baby.
Can't you turn that down in the menu?
No, I thought you don't know.
I thought there's a menu for volume of your controller.
I know, but it's always set as default, and if you're wearing headphones and you don't hear it coming out of your controller, you're driving your girlfriend insane because she's just hearing a baby crying. Death Stranding, not Death Stranding, what was the other one? The motorbike game, Zombies.
Motorbike game Zombies?
Motorbike
Days
game
Gone.
Zombies. Days Gone, that was it. That was the other one that was driving her nuts because every time there's like a radio chatter or anything, it comes through the controller and I couldn't hear it and I didn't know what was going on. Yeah, out of the two, I do actually prefer the feel of the Xbox controller over the PlayStation controller.
Really?
Do got to say. Yeah, I mean, the PlayStation does more cool stuff, but I think out of a comfort level, I do prefer the current Xbox controller.
I think the level of feedback
as
a default on the PS5 does make it more difficult to play for long play sessions.
Yeah, I've not had that problem yet.
Depends on the game.
I'm on a motorbike section on Final Fantasy at the moment, and I like that. Like you got to really push down on the triggers for the throttle and stuff. That's really cool. I like that stuff. But yeah. Anyway, last bit of news we've got. So there is. And again,
this is
I'm
bizarre.
stealing from Giant Bomb a lot this week because they had this conversation I thought was very interesting.
They do have 3 hours and they generally cover every topic in video games. So
there is that. But yeah, a sealed copy of Mario 64 has sold this week for $1.56 million or 1.12 million in Great English pounds at auction, which has made it the most valuable video game collectible of all time.
There is some money laundering crap going on here.
Yeah. The weird thing is, it's like there's nothing special about it. It's a sealed release copy of Super Mario 64. There's no, this is a limited number of this, or this was involved in this, and like, and the reason I cite Giant Bomb about this is because they were Jeff was talking about the idea that there's some kind of money laundering going on through game auctioning, which probably isn't the case, but like there's something weird going on to some. I mean, I know that game prices.
Evidence has happened in the art world before, so anything that's got enough value to carry other value.
I mean, there's definitely some dodgy stuff that goes on in the world of video game auctioning and through things like, I mean, I know everyone knows now that there's a show called Pawn Stars, PAWN, about a pawn shop that's been going for years and years, and I think it's finally stopped now, but they got caught out ages and ages ago for having stuff appear on their show that was actually from like museums and stuff. Then they're like, oh, I found this in my attic. It's Jimi Hendrix's guitar. Wow, this is worth a fortune. I'll give you this much for it. No, I can't go more than that. Well, I better take it away back to the attic, museum attic. And video games have appeared on that going, wow, I found this in my collection. I'm thinking about selling it. Oh, well, I'll give you this much for it. Oh, well, actually, it turns out it's worth this much. And it's because it's a game that's then going to be sold on auction. And it's like a mutual a mutual benefit advertisement. They've got a cool thing to show off on their show. They have a cool thing that then goes up in price because it's been seen on a show and generates interest to it. So I know there's weird stuff like that goes on with it, but I don't know if there's like money laundering that goes on, but I wouldn't be surprised. But it's interesting because, like I say, this is just a regular version of Super Mario 64, a very popular game. Many copies were produced, especially at launch. It's just a launch copy of Super Mario 64.
Yeah. I have a question, Mr. Coleman.
Yes.
Did they pay in Bitcoin or some form of cryptocurrency?
I don't know. Probably not, because
be
that's
slightly more suspicious if they did. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, cryptocurrency is kind of a taboo thing at the moment, and it's through heritage auctions, so I doubt they did. But who knows? It could just be new young money. We don't know. But when you consider like dumb money, I heard as well this week. Again, that was on Giant Bomb. But yeah, like the TikTokers and God knows what, kids with too much money. But yeah, it's just the idea of it being such a mass-produced item to sell for so much when you consider things like there are game cartridges that have gone to auction that were used in court cases against Nintendo or against Atari, that kind of stuff. There are prototype cartridges that have gone out there. They're literally one-of-a-kind tournament cartridges, all this kind of stuff over the years. There have been ones with a spelling mistake on like 10 copies of 1 million versions of that kind of stuff. So there are more rarer things out there.
A limited run of any one game made, and then they halted it for some reason and stuff like that. They're the proper rare ones. But I think with that sort of thing, you have to have a greater degree of appreciation for the history and its place in the history and all that type of stuff. Like comic collectors, it's not necessarily the rarest comic that's worth the most value. It's the one that someone's prepared to pay the most amount of money for, basically. Yeah, and like very often that's something that did have a big run is the origin story of Superman or Spider-Man or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think, like you said, it could be someone young and like this seems like an ancient treasure to them, basically, and like possibly a YouTuber or someone Twitch that bought it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does seem like a ridiculous amount of money considering the rarity level of it and how many copies are possibly available, and just the relative price that other people have paid for it in the recent past. It's all a bit suspicious. But then, hey, there are some really dumb rich people out there that just got extra rich during COVID. Yeah. So maybe they're just throwing some of their money around.
But also, like, the used video game market has
just gone a bit
spiraled out of control on it has been steadily increasing over the years, but it's got to a point like I've got because I priced them up the other day, I've got a box of Famicom games that I literally, because I got my Retron so I could play various different cartridges and stuff, Famicom was one of them. I bought some random just choice cartridges for like 50 pence each on eBay, and now a couple, like my Star Wars one is worth £100. And I think the Star Wars, the Star Wars one was the most expensive one I bought at £15. And now it's like 120 or something like that. And ridiculous. Yeah, it's madness like that. Like they're just going crazy at the moment. And I might, before like lockdown's fully cleared all over the world, and just get rid of it, because I think that's when the spike's going to stop. But yeah, similarly, in the same week, I think it was a copy of Skyrim on the Xbox 360 sold for like $300 as well, which is mad. Go and CEX, you pick them up for like £1 now.
That's the thing. Like,
there's better versions out there. You can get it in VR if you want.
Like games from like 5-10 years ago are practically, rubbish and landfill now. But then in 20-30 years' time, they might go up in price. But all the games that are released now are all, much more mass produced, with some exceptions of like, super rare games and stuff like that these days. But yeah, like, it's one of those things where funny enough, Phil Spencer also talked about game preservation and that being one thing that's not being done well enough. And I think both America and the UK could do with a national video game museum of, a bit more stature than we currently have, and a bit more financial backing to actually be able to catalogue games as we go. And yeah, like obviously there's some online stuff and stuff that won't be able to exist in that way, but it'd be good to have there's always a way around archive type of thing.
There's versions of MMOs that have been shut down for years that are open again because fan-made servers, through backwards programming and stuff. And yeah, I mean, there's always a future to that. I am thinking now there are a couple of crates of 360 games up in the attic that I probably should go through, because I've got some very rare ones up there that my whole thought process was a few years ago, I might just get rid of all the cases, stick all the discs in like a big binder, like you did a while ago, and then have them available for like Let's Plays and stuff. But that's gone out the window now. I might have a look, see how much some of these things are worth.
I think you got to wait another 10, 20 years before they start going up in value. And
well,
you got to keep them
if they're selling Skyrim for $300, how much can I get for Ninja Blade?
50 pence.
Dante's Inferno. Oh, a sealed copy of Fable 3 in the book. Stupid book thing with the coin and the cards and stuff.
I'll see you that, and I'll raise you a copy of Zombie U on the Wii U with a packet of blood. With Zombie U written there.
Oh, I think I had to chuck a couple of those packets away because they got thrown in at random events. Like, here's a bunch of crap we don't want anymore. Here you go. Cheers, Ubisoft. Yeah, I think I had like 5 of them blood packets in one burst. So I should probably throw these away.
Yeah, this is not a good thing to pack away with DVDs.
Yeah, loads of Just Dance bangles and bracelets and stickers and badges and stuff. Like just old stuff they stick in bags. I went to a South Park event, and it's like they gave me everything that wasn't South Park. I should see how much my what's it called? Force Unleashed 2 in the special edition pack with the steel tin and the little MemoBot USB dongle, like all of that. I see how much that's worth.
What
20
game?
pence, I reckon.
I missed the game.
Star Wars Force Unleashed 2.
Oh,
I got the collector's edition. I got so many collector's editions up there.
With your mind.
I used to be a sucker for physical collector's editions, so I should probably price some of those things up. Anyway, that is all the news we got for this week. We don't have any questions, but if you want to send a question in, you can do via our Discord, which is available on BigRedBarel.com. There's a link on there. Also, while you're there, we've got a comment section. You could fill in a comment. Facebook and Twitter at Big Red Barrel, and also YouTube, Big Red Barrel TV. Tim, do we have any Geek Out for Gosh updates?
No major updates this week, but yeah, as every week, you can raise money for Gosh just by playing some games and helping to raise some money through sponsorship. Or you can sponsor someone else that is streaming some stuff and watch them and sponsor them doing so. More details can be found on social media channels, Geek Out for Gosh via Twitter, I believe Facebook as well. I keep on saying that and I still haven't checked it because I don't have Facebook, but Twitter for sure. And go to their website and just look at search for Geek Out for Gosh. And yeah, we'll put links in the show notes and stuff as well. And yeah, as Coleman is reminding me there, Geek Out for Gosh is number 4 as well, so just remember that. Yeah, and if you raise £250, you can get yourself an exclusive insert coin Geek Out for Gosh
t-shirt
and pin. So yeah,
there you go.
Do that.
Did you get lost in your thoughts for a second?
Huh?
Did you get lost in your thoughts for a second?
Geek
Out for
Gosh.
Pin t-shirt. Yeah. Also, any reviews that you'd like to leave us, that'd be very nice on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Stitcher, or Castbox. Those are the ones that matter. We will see them. You can probably leave a review in your app that you're using to listen to this podcast if you are indeed using such wondrous technology. Most of them do it now. Even if you did leave maybe you left a review for Sarcastic Gamer UK back in the day and could do with updating it, because I don't know if you noticed, my name's not Yamster, nor is it John. And Even though I've been denied the ability to change the name on the description of the podcast, you could do it in the review just for me. Come on.
Do it for Coleman.
Do it for Coleman.
Somebody think of the Coleman.
I think we got for a whole show about talking about England.
Good. Cool.
Good.
Yep.
How was that result over the weekend for you, Tim?
Fine. Mainly expected. As soon as we went to penalties, I'm like, well, England and penalties, they just don't mix. So
I thought it was an amazing result. 5-2 to Portsmouth FC. Brilliant.
They're not playing at the moment, Colin. Well, might be playing in friendlies. Friendlies, maybe.
There they are. Take that, Havant and Waterlooville. Yeah.
But yeah.
Right. Yes, we're going to go now. I'm going to go put this podcast out. Video version hopefully will be up a lot quicker than it was last week. I put it out, and would you believe it was upside down? Had to go away, redo it all again.
No, common.
Yeah.
180.
Hopefully Dan's back next week. It might be mine week next week. I'll have that one off, and you guys can do it without me.
Take it in turns.
Yeah. So, until this has been episode 450 of the Big Red Barrel UK podcast, or BRB UK for short.
We made it
450.
450.
I'm going to blow your mind now, Tim. It's going to be 451 next week. I know.
Numbers.
For this week, I have been Coleman.
I might have been Tim.
Again, hopefully Dan's back next week. But until next time, dear listeners, we'd like you back next week. We'll say hello next week. But until that point, we're going to say a goodbye.
Your ears are quite welcome for the podcasting goodness that you just heard. Why not roll on over to BigRedBarel.com for more podcasts, news, reviews, and videos from the biggest, reddest site on the internet, BigRedBarel.com.
Oh, well, tickle my fancy with those, Coleman. I am particularly excited. If you could furnish me with a story of something that looks like it's something shiny and new, but is actually not, that would be fantastic.